In part, Truman doesn't want to run again because of what's going on. The Korean War is in a stalemate. The Red Scare is freaking Americans out. People just don't think he's doing a good job. And he decides that, he doesn't need the headache. So we know that Adlai Stevenson runs as a Democrat. We know that Eisenhower runs as a Republican. We know that Eisenhower is going to win, capitalizing on some of those things like the fears that Russia has the atomic bomb, right? He's going to campaign on that. He's going to win on that. He's going to be able to kind of make that connection, right? And Eisenhower is going to really begin to promote this idea. And he's going to say that, I believe, in the past 20 years, there's been a creeping socialism spreading in the United States, that America is becoming more and more communist over time, slowly, over the last 20 years, from 1930 to 1953. America had becoming more socialist in the eyes of Eisenhower. And he wants to make sure that prosperity doesn't change the way people live by making them socialist. He wants to keep capitalism in charge. So what is Eisenhower going to do? He's going to use common sense. You see, Eisenhower believes in this concept of common sense politics, kind of like Teddy Roosevelt does. Eisenhower wants to balance laissez-faire economics with getting government out of the way, with government involvement on important things in the economy. So, in other words, he wants to promote business in the economy because what's good for business is also going to be good for the country. And if it's not good for business, he's going to cut those programs. So, in other words, he's going to look at businesses that are out there and he's going to say, you know what? If you're a business that doesn't need assistance from the government, you're not going to get it. We're going to cut that aid to you. Instead, we're going to look for ways in which to improve the infrastructure of our country. So Eisenhower goes laissez-faire in a number of ways. He cuts aid for programs that don't need it because of creeping socialism, stops spending money on school construction, slashes funds for public housing. These are things that the government in Washington, in Eisenhower's opinion, shouldn't be involved in. That's not laissez-faire. But he is going to do things to actually improve the economy and put people to work as well. So he's going to help business, but he's going to also help people stay working. Examples of this: Federal Highway Act of 1956. It's the biggest interstate public works project we've ever had in our entire history. It is huge, gigantic. You can see all the stats right there in the yellow highlight. And it's a great example of this kind of common sense politics because it definitely helps business. These highways crisscrossing across our country will help business transform America. It'll be able to make life so much easier transporting goods and services, moving people around the country. It's great for business, but it's great for people too who need jobs. It's a perfect example of laissez-faire, help business, but also help Americans, common sense politics. Another one is the St. Lawrence Seaway, this one right here. St. Lawrence Seaway, it's the same gig. It's like a highway system for the Great Lakes. All those states that border the Great Lakes have all of this stuff that they want to create. Well, if we build a seaway that allows people to transport their goods from here all the way up to the Atlantic Ocean with no trouble whatsoever, then what we're going to do is, again, make more growth for business possible, but at the same time, we're going to put all these people to work building that seaway. So we have these great examples like the Federal Highway Act and the St. Lawrence River, where Eisenhower just uses common sense to get the government out of the way and to encourage people's growth. You're also going to see him do other things like Social Security, help unemployment benefits, raising the minimum wage, financial aid to farmers. This kind of common sense approach makes Eisenhower really, really, really popular. He's going to have a second term as well, serving from 1954, or 57, I should say rather, 1957, up until 1961. So, all of that being said, we'll do much more with this in class tomorrow as we kind of take a look at how these Eisenhower and Truman years change America domestically.